Thank you, Penny. So she's going to be recording the event, and she's going to try to mute everyone to start with. But this is a reminder to keep yourself muted throughout the event. We're going to ask you to hold any comments or questions to the end, unless you're one of the folks who receives a certificate of commendation, and then you'll have an opportunity to say something. So we're going to go to, this is the second slide, and I just want to give you the land acknowledgement that the foundation acknowledges that we are all on the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat, and we thank these nations for their care and stewardship over this shared land. So here you have the total of 30 awards that we're giving out tonight, including 9 projects. The foundation has been giving out awards since 1982. And we've been giving out the Margaret Angus Award since 2007. The next slide shows the stack of awards, which are sitting on my dining room table. As you can see, we would much prefer to be giving these out in person tonight, but unfortunately with the pandemic, as it is, we have to do this virtually. So Christine Hebert is chair of the awards committee. She and I will be sharing the presentation of the awards. We have asked, as I said earlier, that the owners who are receiving the certificate of commendation, if they would say a few words. So first one up is the town of Gananoque. This building, the original building, was built 1831 to 1832. It was designated, heritage designated, in 1976. And then updated in 2018. It's a 2-story red brick, neoclassical in style. But sadly, it was ill-suited to the needs of the town of Gananoque. The concept of an addition proved to be controversial. Whose camera is making noise there?
Oh, sorry.
Is that you? Thanks, Carolyn. So this award is given to the town for its vision and determination to expand the town hall. The old portion of the town hall is respected, and the new portion provides space for council meetings and staff offices. The intent was not to copy the original structure, but to build something that was compatible in terms and comparable in terms of massing and distinctive in style and materials. As you can see, the next slide shows you the old part of the building on the right and the new part on the left. The town of Gananoque is awarded the certificate of commendation, and I think David Anderson is accepting for the town. We were having a problem. He was streaming, he's in the middle of a council meeting, and he was streaming both the council meeting and the Zoom meeting. So I'll just finish up and hopefully he will join us again. If not, then we'll have to, that'll be one up to the technical difficulties.
He's on.
He's on.
Is he on? Great.
Yep.
So the certificates of appreciation, just quickly, are awarded to Plus VG Venton Group Architects, who received their award earlier this week in Ottawa. The David J. Cupido Construction, they are contractors on the project, and Dr. Carl Bray as the heritage consultant for the town. So Dave, did you want to say a few words?
Sure, thank you very much, Shirley. This project actually predated me on council. So, you know, with regards to utilizing it, taking an old building, maintaining the integrity of the historic building, adding something to it, bringing old and new in order to revitalize the old, which is what we've done. We have our new council chambers, and there's offices on the bottom floor. Council chambers is on the top floor of the building, but the old building is still being utilized by the CAO, various staff throughout the building, keeping in mind that everything in that building is part of the heritage collection of the town of Gananoque. The desks, the chairs, the art that's on the walls. But so it's a good combination of the two. Yes, it has been controversial. Some people didn't like the design, but I do. And the thing is, it's an interesting segue into something else we're working on. We have the Fire Hall Theater and the Playhouse which is a very, very popular destination attraction for this town. They're not designated at this time, and we're just doing a reshuffle with the Playhouse with regards to ownership, etc. And one of the things that my committee, because I'm the chair of the Heritage Committee for the town of Gananoque, is we want to designate both those facilities, a separate designation, one for the fire hall, one for the Playhouse. And I do know that the Playhouse is looking to modernizing the existing old building. But this town hall is an example how you can take old and you can mesh it with new, not detract from the old, but revitalize it. And Massey Hall in Toronto is a prime example of that. So on behalf of the town of Gananoque, the corporation, I thank you very much for this honor, and we'll certainly put it up into the news section of the town hall.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for leaving your council meeting to join us tonight for your presentation here or acceptance of the project. But yeah, it's really an amazing project, and I hope that perhaps during the summer we might be able to arrange a tour of the building if that's at all possible with pandemic conditions. But thanks for joining us tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I do have to go back. I have a motion on the table that I have to defend. Okay. Take care. Cheers.
Thanks. Good night. So the next item is an award for the City of Kingston, and Chris Hebert is going to speak to this item.
Thanks, Shirley. The Frontenac County Courthouse is the next deserving project that we're awarding a certification of commendation. It was built in 1855. The formal address is 5 Court Street, and it is now owned by the City of Kingston. The original architect was Edward Horsey and Son, and there was a second architect involved after the central dome caught on fire in 1875. So that was John Power and Son. It's designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and that was in 1976. There's an Ontario Heritage Trust easement on the site in 1989. And it's also a National Historic Site by the feds in 1986. And again, it's also designated under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act for the Heritage Conservation District. The significance of this building is that it has survived 2 fires and extensive renovations, but still retains the elegance it possessed when it was first built. The pavilions are crowned by octagonal cupulas with ribbed domes and decorative finials. The works that are being awarded are for the restoration of the east and west cupulas, which are pictured here. There was restoration on the east and west cupulas. They were in severe need of repair. There was a lot of water damage that was occurring within the building because of these 2 items. The intent was to use as much original material as possible to retain the appearance and authenticity of the historic features. There was careful dismantling of the exterior finishes, restoration of wood and metal ornamental components. There were various in situ wood and metal conservation strategies employed here, and you can see the state of the original cupulas there. They look pretty horrible. There was selective replacement with appropriate materials where deterioration was most severe. New copper shingles were added, decorative finials matching the original details. For the work to preserve and protect this asset, the City of Kingston is being awarded the Certificate of Commendation. And I believe Spiros Canellis and Dan Kernelak are on the Zoom meeting. There's certificate of appreciations as well. They go to Andre Scheinman Heritage Consulting, and Reed Jones Christopherson Engineers for their work on the project as well. If Spiros or Dan would wish to speak to the award, now's the time to interject if you're there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christine. On behalf of the City of Kingston, we'd like to thank the Frontenac Heritage Foundation for giving us the city this award, and also on behalf of our consultants, and all our co-workers that worked on this project and the contractor. This project is the first phase of a multi-year program that we have happening now at the courthouse. And over the next 2 to 3 years, you'll see some significant work happening on the front stairs and on the front portico. And this is just the beginning of this major program that's happening at the courthouse. So we appreciate this award that you've given to us, and we appreciate the work that you do. And a big thank you on behalf of the City of Kingston. And thank you.
Thank you, Spiros. Certainly, I was looking forward to the refurbishment of the Kirkpatrick Fountain as well, but my understanding it's sort of mothballed for the moment till there's funds for it.
Christine, it's in the third phase of this program, and it will be subject to council budget approval of 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, the next item is the Township of South Frontenac. So the Township of South Frontenac has been busy through the pandemic. They've set up a municipal heritage committee. They continue to designate properties through the pandemic. They're developing a grant program for their municipality. But much of this is due to the hard work of Councillor Patricia Barr, who unfortunately died in October of this year. Well done, though, to the Township of South Frontenac for advocating for heritage. I believe we have Anna Galati, who's the township planner who deals with heritage files, and Michael Gemmel, who was formerly on the Municipal Heritage Committee for the City of Kingston and is the chair of the Municipal Heritage Committee for the township. And I think I saw Michael earlier on. Is it Michael or Anna who are going to speak? Or both?
I'll let Michael
We can
speak.
both speak. On behalf of the Heritage Committee of South Frontenac and the Township of South Frontenac, I want to thank the foundation for the privilege of this accommodation. We're a relatively new committee, formed officially in 2018, and this was our first designated property through that committee. And I must say that we couldn't have had a better example to start with. We have a fine structure here in the village of Harrowsmith that is very prominent on the streetscape. It has been well maintained over the years and currently has an owner who is determined to continue that preservation of this fine structure. So it was actually quite an enjoyable project to work on. Like I said, this was just a prime example. And we're lucky in South Frontenac that we have other very good structures of historic significance that we'll be looking into in the future. And like I said, we're a new committee. We're finding our footing. We've had lots of cooperation with the township and the council. And I want to put out my appreciation to Anna as well in helping us and steer us through some difficult learning curves. But we have more work to do. And like you said, we're planning on forging ahead with a heritage grant program over the next year and continue to register historic properties throughout the township. But thank you again for this honor. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Michael. I should remind folks that if you go to the Frontenac Heritage Foundation website and look up under the awards, that there's more information for each of these awards tonight. We are just barely giving you the highlights, but Michael is quite correct in pointing out the John Stewart House at Harrowsmith is a beautiful building. And what's interesting about both this one that's designated and the St. Paul's Church, no, is it St. Paul's, Anna? St. Paul's United? That's in Harrowsmith, have an interesting mix of stone in the buildings, and it's quite intriguing. But there are several other properties in Harrowsmith that are quite deserving of designation. But anyway, thank you again and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All
Sure.
righty.
I'm wondering if I can just add in, just slide in a note here. We are looking for 2 new committee members in the new year. So if you know anyone living in the township of South Frontenac who may be interested in joining, that application should kind of be on our website in the next couple of days.
Great.
So-
We'll try to spread the word for you, Anna. No
That would
problem.
be great. Thank you.
All righty. The next item is the Frontnet Club, a very special project. And Chris is going to speak to that one.
Yes, the Frontnet Club, it's, the owners are Frontnet Club, Inc. And that includes Sean Billing, Greg Rosen, and Martin Skolnick. The address is 225 King Street East, so right downtown at William. It was originally built in 1845. The architect was Edward Crane. Again, there were some additions done in 1908 by John Power and Son. It's designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act and Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act as part of the Sydenham Heritage Conservation District in 2015. The cultural significance of this building is that it was built on a prominent corner and it was built as the Bank of Montreal. It was a bank until 1906, and in 1908 it was bought by the Frontnet Club, a men's organization that added a bowling alley and a billiards room. In 1934 it was converted to apartments and had a variety of uses in subsequent years, including a daycare and a small hotel. The reason for the award is there's a combination. Can you hear? Is there an issue? Sorry, I heard someone. There's a combination of conservation treatments, including the addition of 2 glass upper level additions and extensive renovations to the original buildings. We had a tour of this last fall and we were told that there were many hidden doors, extra doors, mismatched levels, weird room configurations, which made it a challenge to keep the heritage ambiance, a simple and aesthetic functionality, and meet the requirements of the Ontario Building Code and accessibility requirements. The exterior and interior renovations are elegant and protect and preserve this prominent heritage property. The owners are to be applauded for their vision that resulted in this unique 20-room boutique hotel. The owners, Sean Billing, Greg Rosen, and Martin Skolnick, received the Frontenac Heritage Foundation Certificate of Commendation for this key downtown property. Certificates of appreciation go to Ray Zabak, Schultz and Zabak Architects for the architectural renovations, Bill Anglin, Anglin Group Limited as project manager, and Peggy Reed, Reed Simonson Design Group for the interior design. And as you can see in the slide that's up on the board, it's simple and elegant. Black and white is the theme. The table on the right is made from the wood in the bowling alley. A lot of the artifacts that were found in the building behind walls are used and framed. And there's every room is different and every view is different. It truly is a unique property. So would one of the owners like to speak to this project, Sean?
Christine, very kind of you. Thank you for sharing that story. On behalf of the partners and all the staff here at the club, I want to thank the Heritage Foundation for what is a very prestigious recognition. So to the board and to the members, thank you so much. I'd be remiss if I didn't spotlight those that were spotlighted. Bill Anglin and his team were incredible to work with. They were detailed, they were precise, and they put as much heart and soul into this as the ownership group did. Ray Zabek and his team were incredibly creative and solved a great many problems in very creative ways that were allowed us to protect the heritage and enhance the experience for our guests. Peggy Reed and her team, Tim Torgerson and Michelle O'Donnell, were spectacular to work with. And everybody I've mentioned there is all local to Kingston. And I think that's a great statement about what kind of talent exists in this city to take care of heritage assets. Lastly, if I may, to my partners who showed a tremendous amount of vision and we needed a fair bit of fortitude to come through the project. So to Martin and Michelle Skolnick, and in particular to Michelle for a lot of the design inspiration that finished the project off and that made each room feel special, as Christine had said. To Greg and Marla Rosen, who have been incredible supports to us, and to my wife Nancy, the fifth partner, who's put a lot of knowledge and skill from her background in hospitality into the property as well. So again, thank you so much to our partners. They really share in this equally in terms of how successful the property's been, and to those who are receiving certificates of appreciation, I wish we had one for all of the other people on their teams who contributed to what we did. So thank you very, very much, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you very much, Sean. Have a good holiday to you too. The next project is the Bailey Berm factory. So this one is another pretty special project. And so the people familiar with Kingston will know that this is at the corner of Rideau and the Cataraqui Streets. This has an interesting history. In 2014, the community came together to fight for the protection of this former industrial complex. And there are three segments to this. I'll just skip ahead here one slide. You can barely see. The original factory is on the right where my cursor is, 1894. Then the Newlands designed office complex is dated in 1909. And then the concrete wing was dated 1911. So the property was designated in 2015. And again, there's lots of details in the booklet about the heritage attributes that are being protected. In 2016, Raw Design acquired the property and proceeded through the planning process. The restored building is quite beautiful inside and out. So we have here the certificates. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. The certificate of commendation goes to Raw Factory Incorporated. And we have John Geronimus here tonight to speak to that. But I also want to list out the certificates of appreciation. Raw Design Incorporated as architects, Peak Construction Group Limited, Lindsay Reed with ERA and Branch Architecture. We have Edgewater Stonemasons, and we have Brown's Millwork and Joinery. And I just want to give a shout out here to Krista Jelinka, who provided these lovely shots of the interior of the Bailey Berm factory at this point. It's quite an amazing structure. And so here we have, and I also wanted to give a shout out to Kieran Brown. Kieran did 4 restorations on the windows of the original, the Newlands designed portion of the building. And they're painted in black linseed oil paint. Kieran is fairly new to the whole, business of making windows. He graduated from Algonquin, I believe, and Kieran is setting up a shop at 14 Cataraqui. So I think Kieran maybe might just give David White a run for his money in terms of awards. So I'm going to turn this over. I think John Geronimus is on the call. John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep. Thanks for that, Shirley. That was such a nice description of the building, and thanks for this really nice honor. It's so nice to look back at the project. It took us quite a long time to get here. This is, I think, year 6 of when we first came across the advertisement of the sale of the building. And I think a lot of, I think we have a huge debt to pay to folks around the table here for speaking up and preventing the demolition of the building and giving us the opportunity to work on this thing. It was such a fun project with so many wonderful people. I think a few of whom are on here. I know Lindsay's on here, Lindsay Reed from ERA and Branch Architecture. It was a wonderful experience, and we met a lot of great people along the way, and I learned a lot about how to restore or deal with a building that is really close to being just decaying, and how do you handle existing brick walls, and what's the best way of approaching the air vapor barrier, all that type of nerdy stuff. really fun. And thanks so much for this award. It means a lot.
Thanks, John. So the next project that we have is one in Portsmouth Village. And this is a project that is, it's a bit different for us, but we do intentionally go across the city to try to find examples of restorations, reconstructions that are worthy of mention. The architect of this house is unknown, and we don't know exactly when it was built, but others in the immediate vicinity were built in around 1845. The building was originally a workers' double house. It's shown as listed on the city's heritage directory, and it's in what's called a heritage character area. This means that the city is intending to review its potential for heritage designation as a district, or possibly for individual designations. But we really like to bring attention to Portsmouth Village because this is an area that's planned for some considerable redevelopment in the future. And but this is a building which really had been allowed to deteriorate quite badly. So it's very nice to see someone come in, and we have pictures in the booklet that's posted on the website, but it had to be raised up, a floor was poured, the foundations had to be solidified. It was quite the mess. So these are some pre-construction photos. That's also a photo of Mac Griffin before he got his new knee. Mac is on the call tonight, but in case that he only got his new knee last week, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be here. Everybody knows Mac anyway. But the picture here of the house was from the Blue Books of 1975. But then we have the photos of post-construction. So the certificate of commendation in this case goes to Abby Lincoln and Mac Girvin. And the certificates of appreciation go to Mac Girvin and Associates Limited for project management, to Rockwell Building Services Limited. And you may remember Rockwell as having received an award a few years ago for work on the Hales cottages. So Abby, I'm not sure if Abby's on the call, if she would like to speak. I know we have Mac on the call. Whoever would like to speak up would be great to hear from you.
I'm here too, so I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
Yep, we can hear you, Abby.
Okay, super. Okay, you go ahead, Mac.
Oh,
Hey, Abby.
Hi.
Shirley.
Look, I'll say something to start with. I'd first like to really thank Abby for her courage to take this project on. I originally started as a designer and and contractor for her, and halfway through the project, we decided to become partners. And she's had great patience and been very strong. And I've done a lot of restoration work over the years, and this building was one of my larger challenges. You know, once we get into it, we found the whole floor structure was rotten. We had to jack the whole house up in the air once the roof was on it, and tear everything out from under. It is really quite a challenge. And we managed to get out of it without losing our shirts. We didn't, my shirt's not very pretty, but we didn't lose our shirts. And it was really quite a challenge. And I'm really happy of what has resulted here. It's really a very nice, well-built now, stable house. And the new owner, who is a professor at Queen's University, loves it totally. And again, I'd like to thank Abby for her courage and her patience, and you've been really good to work with. So maybe you want to say something, Abby, as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mac. I want to say thank you for recognizing this home. It was something that an opportunity that came, and I just had a moment and thought, oh, I really think this could be something, and really questioned myself many times throughout the process. And Mac is just so easy to work with. So I had my panicky moments, and Mac would gently bring me back down to earth. And I thank you for recognizing that, because it certainly does help make it worthwhile. I'm in the neighborhood. I absolutely love the neighborhood. And it would have been a shame to see something happen to this building. So thank you again.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay well there, Mac, as you enter your recovery mode.
I will. Thanks, Shirley.
Shirley, can I interject at this point?
Yeah, do we have someone?
Yeah, we're getting a message from Dave Gordon that we're not seeing the full size of the presentation, just seeing the speaker view, and he's saying it can be switched. And I think it has to be done from your screen by clicking on the display settings tab at the top right. So you'll see, if you go over to the top right, you'll see view. Further, way over.
I'm not.
Top left. I can't tell left from right. Display settings and the little arrow pointing down.
Oh, okay, sorry. And what should she click on, Dave?
How's that, David?
Swap presenter, you just did it. Swap presenter view. Yay.
Thanks for bringing
Is
that
better?
to our attention, Dave.
Thanks, David. David, I've got two screens here, so I couldn't tell which one was actually showing to the audience, but thank you for that. Alrighty, I think you're up next, Chris, for 44 Princess Street, our beloved Panchancho Bakery.
You're muted, Chris.
And now I'm unmuted. My dog occasionally joins in. Yes, Panchancho. The owner is Zoe Zabanowski, 44 Princess Street. It was built in 1833 as a bank, surprisingly. It also at one point was the Royal College of Physicians building. The architect was Thomas Rogers. It's designated as under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. And the significance noted within the designation is the roofline chimneys and parapet walls are the heritage attributes. The reason for the awards deal with the dismantling and reconstruction of the 4 large stone chimneys, parapet walls, and end gables. This included repointing each gable end from top to bottom and replacing the kneeler stones. The building was also repainted with heritage paint techniques, i.e. linseed oil paint based. If the next screen could go up, you can see some of the stonework that had to be done. The image on the left is the kneeling stone that was done on either side of the front wall at the chimneys and the parapet wall, and sort of the overall protection of the walls as they were being repointed. It's to be noted that the chimneys at this place were very deteriorated. The limestone was disappearing, the original mortar was gone, and the only thing that was actually holding the chimneys up in the next slide were actually metal bracing and some metal cladding. Oh, I guess it's not there. Anyways, the owner is receiving the certificate of commendation for the preservation and protection of this fine artifact. And Brian Nuri, Upper Canada Stonehouse Group Limited, for refurbishing the building ends and all the masonry work that was done under tough conditions because of supply and demand with COVID. Mark Gray is being awarded a certificate of appreciation for the painting of the building, and he's from the Ecclesiastical Refinishing Group, Inc. So if Zoe's there and would like to speak to this project, it'd be great. Zoe? Is Brian Nuri there?
I don't remember either one of them coming into the meeting, Chris.
Okay,
Yeah, I know Zoe had another commitment tonight and it was going to be tight about whether or not she could attend, so.
that's right. I think you mentioned 7:30, but I guess
Yeah,
it's a bit
yeah,
late.
so it may be that she's unable to be here in time.
Is it possible for me to add something? It's Matt Gervin.
Sure, Mac.
I just got to say that, I mean, they've done such an incredible job in this building all these years. And Mark Gray used to be Walter, did the painting before he passed away, and Mark and just, like, they spend a lot of money every 4 or 5 years and repaint the whole thing. Absolutely. I don't know another example in town either.
Mac, I don't know if you can hear me, but we're losing your volume. Can you try speaking into the microphone?
that,
Try again?
is that better?
That's
Yes.
better, yes.
Okay, sorry. I just really want to commend Zoe and, and Zal and Rose before them for taking such care of this building. It's just such a beautiful piece of work. And the woodwork, as I started to say, very, very few people in anywhere spend that kind of money and have the skills to do that exterior painting of wood that, that restores it and saves it and just has that beautiful sheen. It's a real gem in our community, and I'm really glad they're getting recognition for this. So sorry for butting in.
No,
Well,
no,
That's great. Thanks.
that's great, especially since Zoe couldn't be here. Okay, so then the next property is in Berryfield, and Chris is going to talk about this one.
Yes, 217 to 19 in Main Street in Berryfield. The owner is Cindy Forrest. It was built in 1874 by the Allen brothers for George Medley of Medley's Store. So it was purpose built as a duplex with the mercantile on the south end and the family home on the north end. Typically of the buildings on Main Street, the facade is close to the street and the narrow sidewalk is actually below the level of the street. The window patterns are typical of the time period and typical especially of the mercantile use, especially the large window at the south end. The elements that define the architectural value of this property include the two-story massing, the rectangular cross gable plan, the central gable with shingles and louvered shutters, you can see that clearly, the 5-bay facade with evenly spaced windows and door openings, the commercial display window at the left, and the narrow horizontal cladding. The building itself is quite unique, and knowing the history as I do now, I can understand the rationale for the larger windows. The restoration works were done by David White, and they included the restoration and replication of 10 windows and storms, the storms to replace existing aluminum storms. And on the south end of the building, both frames included new sills and casings. For her commitment to restoring windows, the owner Cindy Forrest is awarded the Certificate of Commendation. David White of DJ White Restorations receives the Certificate of Appreciation. So if Cindy would like to speak a few words to her project, it'd be great. Cindy?
I don't think she's on the call.
Oh, okay. Perhaps if David's on, is David on?
I've got some names here that is, I don't know who they are, but
Anyways,
think-
We'll carry on then.
we'll carry on. Yeah, anyway, Cindy will be getting her actual certificate and David will as well.
Yes, David White, if people don't know, he got an award last year for work that he'd done on the Davy House in Bath, owned by Gus Panagiotopoulou. And because of COVID, I had delivered his award to him and didn't know until I actually saw in his workshop what a tremendous wall of honor that man has. So that's why I made the joke earlier about Kieran Brown giving David, being a bit of competition for him, because David really has quite an incredible reputation for high quality restorations of wood houses. And this continues to be an issue at, I think, all municipal heritage committees, that old windows really are deserving of restoration. Anyway, on to the last one. The last one, oops, not that one. Oh, what happened to my slide on 266 Rideau? Isn't that weird? 266 Rideau, somehow I've lost a slide on my PowerPoint here. This is a house that the board decided that we wanted to give honorable mention to it. The owner is Chris Omalon, and the building itself is not recognized on the city's municipal register, but it is in an area that's significant in the city. It's a couple of blocks away from the Bailey Broom Factory, so you know it's in an old part of the city. The Cultural Heritage Study, again, a shout out to Dr. Carl Bray for his work on that project, showed a cluster of properties on Rideau Street, which are being recommended for heritage protection, or at least heritage assessment. At any rate, Chris Omelon did a fine job of putting new siding on the building and using linseed oil paints on that wooden siding, and then adding a metal roof. It's very distinctive, and I apologize for somehow losing my slide up on this particular building. So Chris receives a certificate of commendation for his endeavors, and Hugh Roberts of Roberts and McDougall Building Limited, who himself has built a couple of new, very distinctive buildings on James Street, I believe it is, receives the certificate of appreciation. Do we have Chris Omelon on the call today? Penny, do you see Chris?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway. So on to the last big award. So this is the Margaret Angus Award. The media release is out. Usually when this happens in person, this is all, this ends up being quite a surprise. And of course, we couldn't very well surprise Craig Sims about this because he's out of town so much. But the award itself was created to commend local citizens who maintain pride in our heritage in a manner that Dr. Margaret Angus wished to instill. Bruce Downey is on the call tonight. Bruce was awarded the Margaret Angus Award in 2018 and is very well known to the Kingston community. Bruce is going to introduce Craig. Are you there, Bruce?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Such wonderful familiar faces out there. And good to see you, Craig. Craig Sims is described in his bio as a heritage building consultant. He has committed his working life of over 40 years to the responsible treatment of our built heritage resources. As a heritage building consultant for 25 years, he has demonstrated commitment to the internationally recognized conservation standards. He has a broad range of clients that include architects, engineers, and government agencies. His formal education includes graduating in the Civil Engineering Technology Restoration Program of St. Lawrence College and the Technical Education Program at Queen's. It would surprise me if he escaped attending numerous workshops and seminars offered by preeminent building fabric conservators. And in his line of work, every day on site, there's an education. Now he gives those workshops and support through his teachings through institutions like Willowbank School of Restoration Arts at Queensborough, Ontario, as well as preparing publications related to those restoration arts. Greg works on building envelopes and interiors of scales ranging from log cabins to Parliament buildings, focusing on assessing and maintaining the elements that contribute to the presence, character, and historical relevance embodied there. His current projects are listed on his website as the center block on Parliament Hill, where he is the senior conservator for all interior woodwork and cabinetry, as well as doors and metal windows. The Halifax Armory, where his focus is the conservation and thermal upgrade of windows and doors and work on the ironwork, a specific expertise he is well known for and is contributing those same skills to work at Old Fort Henry in Kingston's Martello Towers. He's also working on the roofing details and the conditions report and an overall maintenance plan for Bellevue House here in Kingston. There is a stone church steeple substructure in need of repair in Montreal. The steeple was clad in aluminum fashioned to resemble stone that must be removed first, refurbished, and reinstated once the stone repairs have been made. He has a project at Griffin House in Ancaster, which is an 1827 timber frame building. Its history speaks to that of Black settlers. He has completed a furnishings plan for the house. It's representative of the geographical region and the owner's socio-economic status, as well as contributing an understanding of how this property has evolved. Now excuse me? Okay. Now I have not touched on the myriad of properties and building features that exist today because of Craig's attention. The current project list does, however, provide an idea of the breadth of Craig's expertise and the challenges he is willing to accept. He lives what appears a quiet life in his home in Berryfield Village, resting from employment of his talents, and occasionally, I've been told, is even seen purchasing groceries. I have been able to get him out to enjoy a beer and a visit to discuss the ever-evolving situation here in Kingston. He is a neighbor. He is a friend. Craig does respect the international recognized standards of conservation, but restoration and conservation practices are often open to interpretation. Craig holds personal standards in that regard that have indicated to me that his true clients are not the architects or the government agencies, but the structural elements he holds in his hands. I had the pleasure of sitting with Craig on Kingston's heritage committees. We mostly agreed, but there have been times of dispute and discussion that always ended in understanding. He was a quiet strength in that role, and given his expertise, we were so lucky to have him volunteer for many years in his home community. Margaret Angus, or Peg, as she is known to some of us, with others, created here in Kingston the DNA of recognition and restoration and conservation, of understanding heritage properties, not just as technical elements or masonry and wood, but with a soul that creates in us an emotional response, like a breathing thing. Craig is one that carries that understanding and infuses it in his work to our benefit. Craig is most certainly deserving of this honor. Congratulations, Craig.
Thank you very much, Bruce, for that. Beautifully said.
Now, it's Craig speaking now. I'm doing this on my phone for the first time. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sure.
Great. Thanks, Bruce. I guess I owe you a beer.
Yes, two.
Now, but on a more serious note, congratulations to all the award winners. So many wonderful projects, so much hard work, and so many piles of cash, I know. Anyway, this is a real honor for me, and I'm really touched by it. I'll give you two reasons. One, of course, as Bruce has said, this award is named after Margaret Angus, and I did have the pleasure and honor of serving with her and Bruce on the Heritage Committee in the 1980s. It was my first few years on the committee and Margaret's last few years, but it was a pleasure and honor to work with her and Bruce. I think our community owes Margaret Angus a huge debt that can't be repaid. It's often been said that it takes people that come from a different place to a new place. They're the ones that recognize what's special, when so oftentimes the locals don't. And I think Margaret was on the leading edge of all that. I also wanted to speak to, oh jeepers, what was it? the whole business of, oh, I can't remember what my second point was going to be now. But the whole, anyway, it was, I want to thank everybody. This award is really special. I've worked all my life in the built heritage field. There's probably other things I could have done if I was interested more in making money. But not many people get to work for over 40 years in a field they love, doing things they like every day. And I've been able to do that. So I count myself as being very lucky. And I want to thank you all for this award. It means a lot to me. Thank you. And Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
And thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome. Well done, Greg.
My pleasure.
So we just got 2 or 3 more slides here. So on behalf of the board, we have a number of thank yous, and this is where I say, you know, to all the wonderful owners, contractors, architects, designers, and tradespeople, as Craig says, the piles of cash who keep our built heritage beautifully maintained. We also want to thank our own 125 members, many of whom have generously supported us through the year. And we also want to thank those who currently give their time on municipal heritage committees across our geographic area. I want to thank Penny Sherman, our executive director, who tries to keep us on the straight and narrow in terms of our Zoom calls and lots of other things. And also to Jillian Moss, who keeps us on the straight and narrow in terms of finances. And I want to again congratulate all the winners, and we really appreciate you attending. And of course, I can't do this kind of presentation without giving a plug for the foundation, that if you aren't already a member, and if you're interested in becoming a member, we would love to have you. So you can send your $45 check either to Post Office Box 27, Kingston, Ontario, or you can go online now and do it through an e-transfer. So I think at this point, again, thanks to everybody who could take part in the call. We're really sorry that we couldn't do it in person. As you can see, these awards are sitting on the table, and Chris and I are going to be finding ways to deliver these to people over the next couple of weeks. So
Ho, ho, ho. Yep.
ho, 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 that's right. But if anybody has any, I'm going to stop sharing now. If anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to pose to people, then we have all sorts of people on this call.
I think people are all muted too. So if you wish to speak.
Yes, if you wish to speak, you have to unmute yourself.
That's right.
I see one. No, everybody's happy. There's Matt Gervin's face now. We're not looking at your robe anymore. That's a good thing.
I just got to say that both Craig and Bruce have been such incredible assets, you know, to the heritage community over these years. They're both really deserving recipients of the Margaret Angus Award. They're both incredibly special.
Well, you know, Mac, there have been a couple of years where we missed giving it out, and I always felt like we, you know, it's hard when you're so immersed in the business of trying to sort of do administration on this. It's sometimes difficult to stand back and think, okay, who is really deserving of this? Because I mean, when you look at, you know, people like Bruce and Craig who have spent their entire lives on it, and you know, you're probably going to be up for one eventually too. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Anyway,
there's a nice little thing on the chat line there about the bowling alley. Did you read it, Shirley?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay. Thanks. It's from Dave Gordon to everybody. Thanks for saving parts of the bowling alley. Lovely memories. This is in the hotel of my daughter exploring it in the former Frontenac Club daycare. I just thought I'd pass that on. I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah, I see we've also got Kieran Brown here because I shouted out to him. Kieran, can you introduce yourself to the crowd? I mean, we're a very friendly group, but we really should get to know you better here. Are you there, Kieran?
Hello.
Hi. So tell us about your shop that you're setting up on at 14 Cataract Way.
Let me see. I've just about got all the machines set up to be making traditional sash windows in the new year. So that's very exciting.
So Kieran actually came, am I right, Kieran, 2014? You came from Ireland?
Yeah, yep, that's right.
So what made you come to Canada? You're looking for work, or you were going to school?
It's a bit of a long story, but I was living in Perth, Australia, and I was doing carpentry work there, and I wasn't liking the modern carpentry, and I wanted to do the carpentry like my father did. So I looked up traditional carpentry in Perth, and I found the carpentry program in Perth, Canada. So I moved to Canada from Australia.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I didn't have any ties back then.
Well, welcome to Kingston, Kieran. We hope to see more of you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any final comments? I hope everybody has a wonderful
Yes.
holiday.
Shirley, it's Craig.
Hi.
I might just want to give the Frontenac Heritage Foundation a bit of a plug here. You guys have been troopers for decades. In the early years, you were buying up properties that were at risk and restoring them to set a leading example. In recent years, your advocacy work has been invaluable. I mean, kudos to you guys. It's fantastic.
Thanks very much, Craig. That's very nice to hear. All right, folks. Well,
I think in this, it's very much a team effort.
Very much.
That's how it works.
We live in a beautiful city and we're very fortunate.
Yes, we are. All right, folks. Well, this will wrap it up. I thought it might be about an hour, and it looks like it's going to be an hour. So I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and stay healthy.
Thanks,
All right.
Shirley.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas,
Shirley.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, 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 everybody.
Bye.
Happy holidays all.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley and Christine. I very much enjoyed seeing all these projects.